What up? What up? What up? It's another one. It's another one. It's another one. Another level up conversation. I'm coming to you right now from my phone. I'm going to be doing this conversation about politics with Law Campbell, Willix Rogers. I think we have one more guest, but he may be coming later. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about my political views. I'm not a Democrat nor a Republican. I try my best to vote. However, I'm very mixed on different topics. My topics shouldn't be your topics. I think everybody should have their own gaze of life, and I think that everybody should have their own thoughts about how they view the political spectrum or this political sphere. So, in saying that, let me go ahead and add my guests, and give them a helping hand. And let me go ahead and add Willex first.
It's a pleasure to be here. And then also, I would like to say thank you for being invited to this wonderful podcast. And then also,
Hey,
hey, how you doing?
how you doing?
Doing fine, thank you. So it's a pleasure to be here. And then also, I send my greetings to the fans, to your audience. Okay, my name is Wilex Roger. And also here, I'm a science teacher. I have a degree in biochemistry. And then also today, it will be my pleasure here to talk about politics, even though I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican.
I agree with that. Hey, I'm with you, man.
Definitely.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and add my brother, Law. Law, I'm gonna add you to the stage, man. Welcome, my brother. Y'all probably known him from Camalism. It's the boy. It's the boy.
you taking you taking me back, man. Taking me back. Yes. Law Campbell, man. Always good, and always a pleasure to get on and talk politics, man. Um, I'm one of those who, again, similar to you all, kind of rides the line. A little bit more fiscally conservative, socially liberal. I'm of the mindset that the state should not, stick its nose into people's businesses, assuming that they are not harming anybody else, or adults have, kind of come to a determination of how they want to adult. That's between two adults. Let's put it that way. Happily married. All that being said, I'm happily married to a woman, have kids, and everything else. But I like to follow politics explicitly as I identify politics as the method to allocate our funds, and we want to make sure that they're using those funds appropriately. So always good to
So,
sit down and
so,
talk, catch up, and go from there.
so in saying that, do you think that America right now is allocating their funds to the best degree that they should be allocating their funds right now?
Uh, is that for me? Is that for Will?
As for you, bro,
I mean, there. We can always be better, man. We can always do better. You got to keep in mind the amount of what they call discretionary funds that we allocate on a yearly basis in the trillions, right? There are ways to do it more effectively and more efficiently. But the argument back and forth is what they should be going to Washington for. That's the point. Not necessarily arguing about what a man does with a woman, what a woman does with her body, is and third. My thoughts are that argument should be had on a continuous basis. I have a background in, Will, you gave your background as it pertains to biochemistry. I have a background in analytics, right? And I have in doing so, I acknowledge that there's ways to track numbers across the board, right? There's ways to manipulate those numbers as well. But the fact that you have to have that conversation is what I try to double down on. That's what I expect from my politicians. Let's put it that way. So, not to dodge your question, no, not to dodge your question, no. But at the same time, it's never going to be perfect, and that's why we continue to ask people to go to Washington and do our bidding for us.
so Will, how do you think we establish a more perfect union? You know,
Well, perfection in everything does not exist. And
Yeah.
then the thing here about union is that yes, most of the time they're doing a very good job, but the dues and the fees sometimes they can add up. They can add up. We definitely cannot live without them. To be honest, we cannot live without them because I'm talking from experience. Being a teacher from a public school, at times it feel like if it went for the union, our rights and then also a lot of things would have been completely neglected. They have the role to play, but also the best thing to do here is to find people we can trust, people that have our best interests in mind, to be at the union to represent us. And then that's the best thing in everything here. Sometimes that you can have a group of people, but everyone is having their own hidden agenda. We want people basically, we want every agenda to be clear so that we are aware what we're getting ourselves into, because there are so many hidden agendas here we have nothing about. But unions by in themselves, they are very good in terms of what they want to do.
Yeah, I understand that. Establishing a perfect union was, when we think about it, when they came up with that speech, or with that certain uh phrase, establishing a more perfect union.
I would
I
say more
mean,
perfect, dog.
or you said what?
I was gonna say more perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
That key term is
Establishing
more
a
perfect. I
more a
understand.
more perfect union. When they came up with that phrase, it was a different element of economics at that time. You had
Mm.
slavery, you had the different metrics that they held on to as far as trade was concerned. Cotton was probably the biggest export at that time. Now, the biggest export is hip hop music, or music in general.
Yes,
You know,
it is, yeah.
so it's weird to see how America has come 200 and 40, 50 years and established themselves as still establishing themselves as a dominant force. However, the perfect union is always a pendulum that swings from left to right, and you could get cut off at any time, like what we're going through right now in hyperinflation. What do you guys think about how do we fix hyperinflation?
Wow. If I have to answer right now, we need to allocate money where money should go, where it's needed.
Mm.
Right now, I'm living in the state of Florida. I'm seeing so many homelessness, so many people being homeless, and also housing prices very, very high. And then also, I think those are the things also the state, Congress should focus the effort on trying to give a helping hand, because the role of government is to care for the people. That's the role of it, because we paid our taxes. Our money basically should be allocated to that, and then I think that's one way so that you can have a very just society. Society right now is not very just at all. So many inequality right now going on. So many disparity between the wealthy and the poor, and then we need to find a common ground here so that I know this is a capitalist world, this is a capitalist country, but still we need to find a way to help those that are the more vulnerable people. We need to support them. We need to give them a booster.
I
That's
agree.
my point of view.
I would first ask. You say, how can you fix it? I think you almost have to first address fix it for who, right? And I think before you can even dig into fix it for who is you got to identify and align what's causing it, right?
Yeah.
Inflation is an economic term, right? It's something that speaks to meaning that you pay more for a good that you previously did. In that space, if you follow that line, the assumption is that there's two reasons why you would pay more for a product. Either the supply is low or the demand is high, right?
Yep.
In that space, with the demand being high, let's assume the demand is high. It's an assumption that people have more money, meaning that they're more willing to pay more money for that product, right? If you can follow on that line, so how do they get more money? But then it's a long rabbit hole that you can kind of follow to try to address how do you fix inflation. I'm of the mindset at this point. I'm not going to say that it's maybe it's me, but in my economic situation, it differs from everybody else. But I'm at the mindset that there is no fixing inflation, Inflation has been set at a space that they've determined that this is reasonable. There's a certain aspect of people who are going to continue to live comfortably, and there's going to be a certain aspect of people who are going to struggle in this situation. And I feel like they whoever they are have made a determination that this is the new normal. This is my thoughts on that front. Now, is it right? Is it wrong? No, I definitely wouldn't agree that it's right. And I would agree that it's wrong. But fixing it, I think there's an assumption that they've created a new normal, a new baseline, if you will, moving forward. And that I think it comes through the fact that, again, there are other factors that are contributing to that space, be it additional monies in the system, be it supply being down, not necessarily being able to curb whatever the demand is that's on the other side of that coin. But that's my personal take. It's not really a fix to it. I think it's just a new level set saying this is where we're going to be going forward.
But the thing is, from what you said there, I completely agree with you. But also, sometimes we have to look at the bigger picture in terms of living costs right now. Living costs right now in the country is very, very high. Very high. And then also, now, the same amount of money that used to buy certain goods, we cannot do that anymore. And then
Correct.
when that happens also, I think that also will lead to robbery, violence. Also, people basically will be very stressed also. And then also, those also will have also social impact in the country. And then also, people will be prone, because when people are desperate, they tend to do very dumb things.
Absolutely.
As a result,
Agree.
If the people here that we voted for these people to be here, trying to help these people, I'm not trying to say, okay, everyone should have a free pass. No, that's what I'm trying to say, because I know I have to work very hard every day to do this and do that. And then that would be very unfair. I'm working very hard, and then someone is not doing anything, is having fun, and then to give that person money. Everyone could say it's unfair. But the people here also, we need to find a way. The most vulnerable people also, we're trying to give them a push. Okay, I'm gonna help you
absolutely.
with your job. I'm gonna help you basically. You're working. Let me try to find a way. Your government will program you to increase your rent, to decrease your rent. Okay, your utility bills. Okay, you're paying half. Let me see if we can support these people also. When you're helping them, that also alleviate the stress right now. When people are stressed, they do very stupid things. You can never know. Sometimes people do very violent things there. You never know
absolutely.
what's going on in their mind. People are desperate.
Listen, I come from a place called, you ever been to Jackson, Mississippi? You ever been to Mississippi at all?
No, I've
Willix? Okay, so let me tell you about Mississippi. And there's some of the brightest people that I know. All right. I'm a military brat, been around the world. But to your point, some of the most intelligent people I know. They're on the other side of that coin, some of the most desperate people I've ever seen as well. Right. In a situation where, to your point, you can never, I tell people all the time, the most dangerous person that I've ever run across is someone who's desperate. Yeah. There's nothing that they will not do to survive. Yeah. So I agree with you on all those points. But I also note that if we're truly walking through this like an economist, and we're talking terms like inflation, we're at that point where I'm starting to, again, circle back on the concept that unemployment or underemployment is 3.9%. Meaning that they're looking at, they're patting themselves on the back saying everybody has a job. They're to the point they're floating around the term, again, another economic term of full employment. For the most part, everybody who wants a job has a job, right? And if they can determine that people who, taking into consideration, yeah, we'll deal with that robbery. We'll deal with those folks living in the trees or living in tent cities, this, and that, and the third. But at this space, 3.9 is good. I'm on these earnings calls. If you sit in on the earnings calls throughout that part of the quarter, you will hear these executives essentially saying, until this is maybe early this year, until we start seeing mass layoffs, there's nothing going to happen. Inflation not going to change. The way costs are, they literally they're leaning on people to effectively lose their job to try to change things.
Well,
so
go ahead.
I was going to say, you have a give it and take, man. Either they've set the new normal as this is what it is. Or do we go back and say, okay, well, we're going to have another cycle of job loss, another 2008, to try to get things back to where we think it should be? That's why I say, who are we fixing it for?
Yeah,
Who's inflation being addressed?
essentially what I see is housing has to crash. And that's a negative thing to say in order for us to become the country that we once were. It's something has to give, because the highest viable option at this point, and when you're going after people with money, the highest viable option is housing. So if housing comes down, then the economy comes down. Um, but other than that, I don't really see any other option. Now they're talking about housing is decreasing, or housing only decreased for Austin, Texas. It was an article I read. Housing only decreased for Austin, Texas within the last year. So that was the only city that went down. However, there's other places that's trending lower right now. But 3% isn't 3% of what the average house decreased, from the average house being $440,000 is nothing. It's a piss in a bucket. It's a little water in a bucket for what we're trying to do, or where we're trying to get to. So looking at that, I don't really see inflation going down, and it's a scary topic to talk about,
Yeah.
because hyperinflation is a real thing. And it's been a real thing for Europe. It's been a real thing for places like Korea, and it's been a real thing for places all over the world, especially Argentina right now. Argentina, they're making uh, what road figures, and they're making little figures with their dollars in Argentina right now. And they're basing everything in Bitcoin. So that brings me to another topic. How do we beat individually? How do we beat inflation? How do we get out of the rat race? And I have my thoughts. You have to buy real property, and you have to buy things that's not subjugated from, who gave me some balloons? And you have to buy things that's not subjugated to the US dollar. So inverse of the US dollar, like gold and Bitcoin and different things of that sort. So real property. But I'm not really even sure about Bitcoin or gold, because if you buy through an exchange and that exchange goes down, now you've given all your money to that exchange, and you have to go to that exchange to try to get your money out. I would suggest, buying real property. And real property is real estate. But the bad thing about it is real estate is so high right now. So
Right.
how do you individually, in your individual universe, say for instance your family, how do you get away from inflation right now?
I'll take the first one, and we'll let you come on top over top. It's cool.
Okay.
So I'll take the first one. My thoughts are exactly along those lines, bro. I think you buy into things that appreciate over time, right? Historically, and allow inflation, and the allow yourself to ride that inflation as it rides itself. That's my only way I think that you can see out, and for a man to serve his family well, is to buy into those things that truly appreciate over time. Be it real estate, be it you mentioned precious metals, whatever it may be. But ultimately, I think that's the only way you kind of walk your way into that space. And the reason I say real estate, and then I leave it back to Alexis. You note that, like you said, interest rates are at an all-time high. Property values at an all-time high. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I also believe that there are things are put in place for a reason to dissuade people from going into that direction. And right now, looking at real estate and looking at the way and the cost and the way things look at, they're trying, me again saying they are trying to convince a generation of people to not walk in that direction, continue to be pawns as a part of that system. So the only way that I believe you can break that is to, again, invest in those things that are truly going to appreciate.
As for me, one thing I think, two things I think we can do over time, it's either if you have the money, let's say you have 20 grand, the first thing I can do here is try to put it in a very high interest saving account. But because right now, as you said, investing basically in very volatile thing can lead to failure and also heartache. And then second thing also, try to put it in a try to invest into the stock market, an index fund. An index fund. That means that you do not buy one or two company. You buy basically the entire index fund, the SP 500. You buy everything with it because one stock might go down or the one go up, but over time, I think, okay, I mean, over time, I think you may make some gain, but investing in real estate, as you said, I remember in 2008, I think the bank was crashing. I think in 2008, there was a huge bank. They were basically collapsing. They were going bankrupt. That's also the fear that people have. If I have a lot of money, I put in the bank, and then the FIC said you only insure to 50K. That means if you had more than that, you're a loser. By the way, if you got more than that, unless you put your money in different bank, you do not put anything more than that. You feel like you're going to lose your money. I think it's a catch-22. It's a losing game. No matter what you do, I don't think you can beat it. It's I don't know. Inflation, you cannot unless you are the one manipulating the game. You let's say that this is a casino. You are the house. The house is always the winner. If you're not, if you are an outsider, just be hopeful and then also cross your fingers, and then I think that's the best option.
I got a conspiracy theory. I think that this is a wealth exchange. Baby boomers have 70% of our wealth in the United States. And as they're dying out over the next 10 to 15 years, they're going to be transferring this wealth somewhere. I think that everybody's raising their price, coordinating to raise their price, to extract all of that money and put it in their coffers for the next, generation to rule. And if you're not selling anything right now, if you're not selling any products, or if you don't have a business right now to extract that money, then I think that those people are going to be on the losing end of the next 20 years. We already know that inflation is going to be worse than what it is now. Plus, on top of that, we have AI that's taking over for all of our just regular businesses or regular jobs. So if you have if you do any paperwork type job, AI is going to be able to do it for you. If you do any writing, or if you do any digital formatting or anything of that nature, AI is going to be able to do it. And that's a scary conundrum to be in while inflation is going up. Who do you think the next president should be to lead us out of this, or help lead us out of this conundrum that we're in? Because we got Donald Trump, who is the forerunner for the Republicans, and he's damn near in jail. And you got Joe Biden, who really doesn't have the mental capacity of a younger guy, say like Barack Obama. And we have these two options, and I've never ever seen a superpower like this, where we have two options of two older people that seem like they have dementia. So tell me who's the best option between Republican and Democrat to lead us to the next wave of financial abundance or economic stability?
What about neither? because from where from where I'm standing, neither, because that's a fight that we've seen before in 2020. Everyone's seen that. It's feel like it's a leftover. It's a repast. And I think American people, I think they have enough.
Yeah.
They have enough. I have nothing against any of them because I am an apolitical person. I try basically to be very unbiased of things. But I think they need to make way for new blood, fresh ideas. We need that. We need fresh ideas.
We do.
Absolutely.
We need a new blood,
Absolutely.
fresh ideas. People, people that have been embracing the new generation here that are living currently. That's happening now. We are living it. We've seen through it. Basically, we've been through it. These people, it's an ancient generation. That means the way we do things, the way you see things are completely different. As a result, I think the wise things to do for the sake of this wonderful country, for the sake of those wonderful American people, is for these people to say, you know what? Yeah, we have our say, so let's leave the next generation. Let's keep them this side. I think that would be better for everybody.
And
Well,
Willis, I know you
well-
got to get out here at 7:30, man. I'll keep it short and sweet, man. But while I agree with both of you that Joe is Joe, Joe's getting old, and Joe is Joe. There's only one of those individuals who stood on the stage last night and said that these immigrants are poisoning the blood of this country, right? So there's no in trying to compare the two. I can't honestly make that determination that I even think about endorsing Donald Trump in for the highest position in the land. So if it comes down to those two, I'm going to walk with Biden. They find a way to indict and get Trump out of the race, I'm going to ask politely that Biden steps to the side. Until then, I walk with the man who at least has the position right now and has found a way to not get us into COVID-23 or, in the back and forth with North Korea or, it's just, it keeps going on and on again, so I think that there's a difference between the two, and not calling out those differences, it could do anyone who's listening an injustice. All right.
Okay, Willex, give us
It's a
your
pleasure.
background. Where can we follow you at?
Okay, Willex Roger, Facebook.
Okay,
If you're on Facebook,
y'all go follow Willex Roger.
Yes.
Go look up Law. Campbellism was the podcast that we came up with. We had it steaming back in the day. But
Let that one go, man.
But this is another episode. It was a political episode that we're going to be doing every Wednesday. We're going to be inviting. I'm going to be inviting my brother back to do it with me on Wednesday, and we're going to have other people also to do topics and come up with their own opinions. So I thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And as we go forward, we're going to have more political conversations. We get more in depth. And I want to really delve into the psyche of Black America in politics. And why are we so distant with politicians and different things of that sort? Because we have to step forward. We're moving into an age where you can't sit on the sidelines. You have to get in the game. So let's get in the game, family. Let's get right. Let's get this money. Let's keep on going. Let's sign out there.
Appreciate it, guys. Always a blessing.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, it's a pleasure.
Thank you all.
Thank you.